How can a film about the Holocaust make the world laugh and cry at the same time? Roberto Benigni's Life is Beautiful broke every rule, turning unimaginable tragedy into a story of love, humor, and survival. It didn't just move audiences, it redefined how cinema could find hope in humanity's darkest hour. Number 20. The director slept on the set. Roberto Benigni was not just the star, he was the heart and pulse of the film. During shooting, he was so deeply involved that he refused to leave the studio. Crew members said he often slept right on set, wrapped in a blanket beside the camera. He wanted to feel the atmosphere, to breathe in the emotion before each day's work. The set wasn't just a workplace, it became his second home. He believed sleeping there helped him wake up inside the story. That's how he stayed connected to every beat of Guido's journey. It looked like madness to outsiders, but to Benigni, it was devotion. What seemed like obsession created the warmth we feel in every frame. It looked funny on screen, but it came from real passion. Number 19. A Promise to His Father. This movie wasn't born from fantasy. It was built from memory. Benigni's own father, Luigi, had survived a Nazi labor camp during World War II. When Roberto was young, his father told him stories, not of cruelty, but of courage. He described hunger and fear, yet somehow found ways to make his son laugh about it. Roberto promised he would one day turn that lesson into art. Years later, Life is Beautiful became that promise fulfilled. It wasn't just fiction, it was a son honoring his father's resilience. Every joke, every smile carried a piece of that history. It looked like comedy, but it was built on love and pain passed down through generations. What seemed like make-believe was really memory turned into magic. Number 18. The child actor didn't know the truth. Little Giorgio Cantarini, who played Guido's son Giosuè, had no idea the film was set in a concentration camp. Benigni shielded him from the horror. He told the boy it was all a game, just like in the movie. Even during scenes of danger, Giorgio believed he was earning points to win a real tank. The innocence in his eyes wasn't acting, it was real. That's why his performance feels so pure, so untouched by fear. Only years later did he learn what those scenes truly meant. That wasn't performance. It was protected childhood, caught on camera. Number 17. It was almost a serious drama. Before it became a tragic comedy, Life is Beautiful began as a pure drama. Early drafts were dark, heavy, and almost without humor. Producers worried no audience could handle such sadness. But Benigni saw another way. He believed laughter could make pain bearable, and truth more powerful. So he rewrote it completely, adding warmth, charm, and jokes that glowed like candles in the dark. Critics were skeptical. You can't mix comedy with the Holocaust, they warned. But Benigni proved them wrong. The balance of humor and heartbreak became the film's greatest strength. It looked impossible, but it worked like a miracle. Number 16. The title was inspired by a simple line. Benigni found the title, Life is Beautiful, from a phrase he often heard his mother say during hard times. Whenever life grew painful, she would whisper, La vita è bella. It was her way of reminding the family that hope must survive. That quiet phrase became the soul of the film. In the story, Guido repeats that same faith again and again, believing beauty can exist even in despair. The title wasn't just poetic, it was personal. It carried his family's philosophy like a torch through darkness. It sounded simple, but it held generations of strength. Number 15. Filming the camp scenes was emotionally crushing. Even though sets were built with care, the camp scenes drained everyone's spirit. The extras wept during takes. Crew members went silent between scenes. Some couldn't even eat lunch afterward. Benigni tried to lift spirits by cracking jokes between takes, but when cameras rolled, the pain felt real. The fences, the uniforms, the emptiness, all too close to history. One crew member later said, "We laughed to survive the shooting, just like the characters laughed to survive the camp." It looked like fiction, but it felt frighteningly true. Number 14. The real prison was history itself. While the camp scenes were filmed in Italy, the production used authentic blueprints of Nazi camps to recreate every detail. The barbed wire, the watchtowers, even the barracks were built to scale. Survivors who visited the set said it looked eerily real. One visitor cried silently during filming. The realism added power, but also pain. For Benigni, accuracy mattered because he didn't want to insult memory. He wanted to protect it. The result felt real because it was built from respect. What looked like imagination was careful remembrance. Number 13. Benigni refused to show explicit violence. Despite the setting, Benigni made a bold choice. He never showed direct brutality on screen. No scenes of blood, no deaths shown clearly. He believed the audience's imagination was more powerful than any image. Instead, he used silence, music, and emotion. The camera focused on faces, not violence. That made the film feel even more painful, because we felt what we could not see. He once said, "The horror is already known. My job is to show love surviving inside it." It looked gentle, but it carried unbearable weight. Number 12. A real love story. Inspired the romance. Guido's love for Dora wasn't just a script. It was inspired by Roberto's real-life romance with his wife, Nicoletta Braschi. She played Dora in the movie, too. Their chemistry wasn't acting. It was lived. They had met years earlier in the theater and built their careers side by side. When Guido gazes at Dora through the window or whispers her name with trembling joy, that's Roberto speaking to the woman he loves in real life. Their affection breathed life into fiction. What looked like performance was marriage shining on film. Number 11. The tank was real. At the end of the movie, when Giosuè finally rides the tank, that wasn't a prop. It was a genuine army tank borrowed from a military museum. It was heavy, loud, and almost too big for the small street they used. The little actor was overjoyed. He thought he'd really won it. For him, it was the happiest day of filming. For the crew, it symbolized innocence, surviving horror. That rumbling sound of victory wasn't just noise. It was the heartbeat of hope. What looked like a toy was a real symbol of freedom. Number 10. It nearly didn't get international release. When the film was completed, distributors hesitated. They feared audiences outside Italy wouldn't understand its mix of humor and tragedy. Some even called it too strange. But word of mouth changed everything. Film festivals erupted with emotion after screenings. People cried, clapped, and hugged strangers. Soon, international studios begged to release it. What looked like a small Italian picture became a global masterpiece. It went from doubt to destiny. Number 9. Steven Spielberg's reaction changed its fate. When Life is Beautiful reached Hollywood, Steven Spielberg watched it privately. Afterward, he reportedly told friends it was one of the most moving films he had ever seen. Coming from the director of Schindler's List, that meant everything. His praise helped push the film into the American spotlight, leading to award nominations and global respect. Sometimes one great filmmaker's blessing can open the world's heart. What looked like a foreign film became everyone's story. Number 8. Benigni won the Oscar with Wild Joy. At the 1999 Academy Awards, when Benigni's name was announced for Best Actor, he didn't walk to the stage. He climbed over the seats. He jumped, hugged everyone, and shouted with delight. It became one of Oscar's most unforgettable moments. Some laughed, some cried, but everyone felt his sincerity. It wasn't arrogance. It was pure gratitude. He said, "This is a beautiful night for humanity." It looked like chaos, but it was history dancing. Number 7. Italy hadn't won an acting Oscar in 40 years. Benigni's win was more than personal. It was national pride. No Italian male actor had won an Oscar since the early 1950s. His victory reignited Italy's place in world cinema. Streets in his hometown exploded with fireworks that night. Newspapers called him a national treasure. What looked like one man's dream was a country's triumph. Number 6. The film's music was a love letter composer. Nicola Piovani wrote the score like a poem. He said he wanted every note to sound like a heartbeat, fragile yet brave. The main theme swells like laughter breaking through tears. It won the Academy Award for Best Original Score, proving that music can heal. The melody became so beloved that couples used it at weddings, even though it came from a film about war. What sounded sad carried hidden joy. Number 5. It broke every rule of war. Cinema. Most war movies show fear, battle, and loss. Life is Beautiful showed imagination, humor, and a father's love instead. It dared to tell history through fairy tale eyes. Critics were stunned. Some called it disrespectful, others called it genius. Decades later, it's still discussed in film schools as an example of emotional storytelling that rewrites the rules. It looked like a risk, but became a revolution. Number 4. The film crew used real refugee experiences. Several background actors in the camp scenes were survivors or children of survivors. They shared stories that shaped how scenes were filmed. Some gave advice on gestures, meals, and the look in people's eyes during those years. The film became a kind of collective remembrance. They weren't just acting. They were reliving echoes of truth. What looked like extras were living witnesses. Number 3. The ending almost changed. In early drafts, Benigni considered letting Guido survive, but he realized that would weaken the story's power. True love sometimes means sacrifice. The ending, with Guido's final walk, became one of cinema's most moving goodbyes. It leaves us heartbroken, but also filled with light. He gave his life, but his son gained hope. What looked like tragedy was ultimate love. Number 2. The movie was banned in some countries. Despite its beauty, a few nations briefly banned the film, saying it treated history too lightly, but audiences disagreed. Wherever it was shown, theaters filled with tears and applause. People understood it wasn't mocking pain, it was honoring survival. The controversy faded, but the message remained eternal. Kindness can bloom even in ashes. What looked offensive became universal healing. Number 1. The film saved a life. Years after release, a letter reached Benigni from a man who had planned to end his life. He wrote that watching Life is Beautiful changed his mind. He realized that even in pain, beauty could still exist. The film gave him strength to go on. Benigni wept when he read it. For him, that letter was worth more than all the awards. What looked like entertainment became a reason to live. Bonus fact: the film was shot in the town of Arezzo, Benigni's home. The charming town we see in the film wasn't a random choice. Arezzo, in Tuscany, was Roberto Benigni's hometown. He wanted to root the story in real streets from his childhood. Locals became extras. Shops reopened just for filming. Even the fountain where Guido meets Dora was restored from old photos. It wasn't just a movie set. It was Benigni's memory turned into a living painting. Old bricks, old love, new purpose, the past lived again through art. Outro. Life is Beautiful isn't only a film, it's a heartbeat made of light and laughter. It reminds us that courage can wear a smile, and imagination can guard innocence, even against evil. Guido's love teaches us that beauty isn't found in comfort, it's created in struggle. That's why, decades later, this story still makes the world weep and smile at the same time. If you enjoyed these stories, subscribe for more. Every movie hides a truth, and we'll keep uncovering them, one story at a time.